Hey, I'm Bera, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about how to create a schedule that really works for you. In particular, how much structure or flexibility to have in that schedule. And to do that, I would like to introduce you to something that's called Polarity Management. So first I'll explain what that is, and then I'll explain how you can apply that to your life, or more specifically in this case, to your own schedule. So let's talk about polarity management. So polarity management is basically based on the idea that we sometimes think there are problems in our life, but they're not actually problems. So unsolvable problems often are actually polarities. And I want to give you an example. For instance, perhaps you've heard in a, I don't know, like company meeting, hey, we need to focus on innovation. And then others, no, we need to focus on consolidation. And that's a polarity because both are important. You know, if you just innovate, but never consolidate what you already have, well, you know, at some point it can get really shaky. But if you just consolidate what you have but never move forward, that's also not good. So polarity management really teaches us that a lot of the problems that we have that don't seem to be solvable are actually not problems, but polarities. You know, should I take care of myself or should I take care of others? Well, if I only take care of myself, at some point people won't want to hang out with me and I'll feel lonely, which is not good for me. But if I only focus on others, at some point I'll get resentful, yada, da, da, da. So the idea is basically if we are dealing with a polarity and we go too far into one direction, we notice negative downsides. So now you may be wondering, well, what does that have to do with my schedule? To apply this thinking to the question of how much structure or flexibility to leave in your schedule, well, let's see. Have you ever, had like a really, really tight schedule and noticed how that perhaps negatively impacted your creativity or maybe your work output in other ways? And then on the other hand, you might have also noticed that sometimes having a completely open schedule can also be harmful to productivity or to creativity or whatever it is. And the key here is to recognize that we probably all have a different set point. You know, like some people need more open space, some people need more structure, but that there is a set point. And that if you go too far into either of these directions, your productivity and creativity and all that is probably going to suffer. So the key is really to find out what works best for you. And I typically wouldn't recommend to have a completely open schedule. As Steve Mattis, a business coach, once said, you need a structure to be flexible from. In other words, if we use, like the example of a flag that's hanging on a flag post, well, the flag couldn't have the flexibility of turning into all these other directions if it didn't also have the flag post holding it up. So the key is really to figure out what's the minimum structure you need. And it could be that that's, like one set appointment per day, or virtual co-working with others, or, like having a coach or an accountability partner, or whatever that is. And then it's also important to notice, well, how much flexibility do you need? How many open slots in your calendar do you need? And how can you get there? Often what can help is scheduling similar things together. So for instance, if I have phone calls, I try to schedule them close to each other with breaks in between, but still close to each other. So I don't have, 2 phone calls each day of the week. And then it just really kind of messes up the day because I don't really have just uninterrupted time to create. So that would be my tip for you to create a schedule that really works. Look into polarity management, or don't look into it, just apply the principles of noticing how much is too much in terms of structure and in terms of flexibility. Figure out what really works for you and create a schedule where you don't have too much structure, but also not too much flexibility. And if you notice you've gone overboard in one direction, well, steer into the other one. That's it. I'd love to hear what you noticed in your own life about this structure versus flexibility thing. And if you lean more towards needing more structure or more flexibility, let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Bye.